Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm back here at Ciocca Chevrolet of Princeton to take a look at a vehicle that's being discontinued by Chevrolet for the 2023 model year. This is, behind me, a 2022 Chevrolet Trax LT. Now the Trax won't be made in 2023, however, Chevrolet is going to go put a massive redesign on this vehicle and release the Trax again in 2024 as a completely different and new vehicle. So we're excited about that. But for now, let's take a look at the outgoing Trax. So when the new, totally different one appears in 24 model year, we can compare to see what kind of changes they made for the better or for the worse. So let's dig in. All right, here we are at the front end of this little Trax. Chevy bow tie in the middle. We have the LED daytime running lamps. However, we have standard lighting for the headlights and the turn signals. We have flat black on the grille, fake side air curtains on either side, which I'm not a big fan of. Some aluminum trim down below. But for a little weeny little car, it doesn't have a bad looking front end. All right, wheel and tire setup on this little Trax is a 16-inch silver wheel. Chevy bow tie in the middle, nothing special. Standard brake and motor package, all-season Continental tires, 205 on the width, 70 series sidewall, 16s, all four corners, and this vehicle is all-wheel drive. All right, full side profile on this Trax. It's a pretty nondescript car. It's a very small, four-door, all-wheel drive car. This is the top trim. The LT all-wheel drive is the top trim on the Trax for 22. I like the color. I think the color looks good on it, but overall it looks very rental car-esque to me in its design and in its purpose. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. As we move in closer on the shadow gray metallic vehicle, we do have plastic around the wheel wells, flat black. We are color matched on the side view mirror. We are color matched on the front and rear door handle. Fuel filler cap over on the right. Up top we got that old style antenna, which has got to go. Give me a shark fin antenna. And then up top we do not have a sunroof. All right, rear end of the Trax is very flat in the back. Stubby roof spoiler. We have the wiper down on the bottom of the glass. Chevy bow tie in the middle. Trax all-wheel drive badge on the left, and then we have standard lighting in the back, no LED, and then we have some flat black around the lower bumper area and some aluminum trim with the exhaust tailpipe tucked up underneath the right side of the vehicle. All right, we are under the hood of this little Chevy Trax, and what are we looking at for a power plant? Well, we have a 1.4 liter turbocharged inline four-cylinder engine, mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission. 155 horsepower, 177 pound-feet of torque, MPGs 23 in the city, 30 on the highway, 26 combined. The engine's minimum octane rating is 87, so you can run this on regular unleaded gas. All right. So before we get into the interior of this Trax, you're going to want to know, Mike, how much does this little Trax cost? Well, MSRP for the way this 22 Trax LT all-wheel drive is optioned, you're looking at an MSRP of $25,465. So let's check out the interior. All right. Footbox time, we have a carpeted dead pedal, small brake, small accelerator in rubber with the all-weather floor mats. Seats, we have power seats for the driver, manual seats for the front passenger, and then in here we have some nice cloth inserts, and then we have some nice, what appears to be leather trimmed, but my guess is at this price point probably some kind of faux leather, fake or leatherette, with some gold stitching, which looks very, very nice on the seats. The bolstering is soft, as to be expected, but it doesn't look bad on the inside of this little Trax. All right, door panel time on this little Trax. We have soft touch up top, surprising. We have a chrome door handle, flat black on the switchgear, and a semi-soft armrest on the door, all very black, all very monochromatic. But at this price point, you really can't complain. Moving over to the dash, soft touch up here. Some more of this soft touch with the gold stitching, which looks nice. And then down below, glove box action is nice and large with the wheel lock set. Nice bonus. And then over here to the infotainment system, we have the 7-inch GM infotainment system, wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, Wi-Fi hotspot. There's no nav built into the system, so all the nav has to come through your phone, which is not a big deal because I think most people use the nav through their phones anyway. But it's a nice little system and it works pretty well. And then we go to reverse and we have a nice large backup camera with trajectory, very clear. GM always does such a nice job on their backup cameras, and this little Trax is no different. Coming down, we have our traction control off. Here's our four-way hazards. We do not have climate control, so you have your standard heat and air dial that you turn for whether you want it hotter or colder inside the car. And then as we move down further, we have a 12 volt and 2 USB A's. So can't complain about that. Here's the little gear shift to go through the 6-speed automatic transmission. Then we have a manual emergency brake, which is nice. We have 3 cup holders and the Chevy key fob right here. Not too bad looking. Actually, it feels really good in my hand. Unlock, lock, remote start, panic button, Chevy bow tie. Not bad. And then we have back here, we have a captain's chair armrest here for the driver, and if I lift that up, then we go back and we have yet another cup holder, so there's no center console here in this little Trax. All right, here's our Trax steering wheel. It is a very plain Jane wheel, but it does have a nice leather wrap to it, which is an option that's included in this car. We have the bow tie on the horn button, which is fairly plain, but I like this brushed aluminum look on the lower part of the wheel to at least make it look a little bit nicer. And then on the left here we have our cruise, and on the right we have our telephone and voice commands right here. We don't have any paddles, not expected. The stalk on the left, obviously we have our directionals and bright lights, and then on the right you have your windshield wipers. And then over here we have our headlight controls and brighten and dim the dash. This is a manual tilting and telescoping steering wheel. And then we have our little cute dashboard, which is part analog, part digital. Analog gauges for your speedometer and tachometer, fuel level. And then you have that small little display on the right now that says fuel level low. That is going to bring up other information like your range to tank, average miles per gallon, tire pressure, that kind of stuff will come from that little area here. But for a car at this price point, you can't complain about how this dash looks, and it's easy to read and it's set up very logically. All right, overhead console time in this Trax. We don't have LED lighting on the interior of the car. Not surprising, but if you do want the interior lights to come on when you open and close the door, this button right here, as you can see, it shifts over like this. You want it left in the center. And when it's left in the center, then when you open the door, the light will come on. When you close the door, the light will go off after a few seconds. There you go. Here is our visor with vanity. You've got a carve out in here, but it does not slide back. So that's a bummer. All right, backseat time in this little Trax. Now I've zoomed the camera out because the car's so small. If I kept it zoomed in, you wouldn't be able to see anything once I got inside the car. So we're going to step on in. It is a little tight in this door opening, and watch your head on the roof. This seat is set for my driving position. I still have some knee room, still have headroom at 5'11", so plenty of room, plenty of shoulder width room. Door panel action, same as the front, not surprising, so there's a nice consistency, a design front to back. Down below, way down here, you can open that up. You have a home power source, so you can plug in, which isn't bad. You have pockets behind each of the front seats for storage. The back seats, same as the front, nice consistency of design with that gold cross stitch, and even on the headrests, so nice job, Chevy. And as we pull down the armrest, we don't have much of a place to put our arm because the cup holders are in the middle, and I don't like this setup as much as having the cup holders up here and then you have all this area back here for your arm. So I'm not a big fan of the way this one's laid out, but at least you got two cup holders and you do have an armrest in a $25,000 car. Some cars we've seen at this price point has no armrest, so I'm not going to zap it too bad. But overall, it's not half bad in the back of this little Trax. I'm surprised how much room I have, frankly. All right, we're at the back of this little Trax. To get the tailgate open, there's the handle right underneath the license plate, and then you pull it up a little bit, and then the struts will take it up the rest of the way, but you do have to manually pull it to get it down. We have a nice area for storage in the back of this little car. Very, very nice. Carpeted floor mats here. Lift up this. Spare tire. Very nice. Couple of tie downs, one on the left, one on the right. Got some non-LED lighting. Security shade. Not bad. But to get these back seats down, it's a pain in the neck. And this is something I really don't like about this car, is that to get the back seat down, the first thing you have to do is you have to reach around the front of the seat with this little pull strap, and you got to pull it and then move the seat back that way. So as you can see, you pull this strap and then you got to reach in here, grab the seat and move it up out of the way. Then you reach up here and you pull this down. Try to get them down. And it is not easy at all. Same on the other side. You got to pull this thing out. You got to flip it forward. Then you got to pull this down. Now, if you want the seats to fold flat, you got to take the headrests off manually. So that is not a good setup in this Trax, and I really hope they change that because I do not like the way that is at all. If I'm missing something, and I've tried this a few times, if I'm missing something, please let me know, because it seems overly cumbersome and a real pain in the neck to get these back seats to go down and to try to go down flat. And if you have to remove these headrests, it hardly seems worthwhile at all to put them down. So anybody own a Trax, let me know in the comments. All right, here is the window sticker for this 2022 Trax LT all-wheel drive. Feel free to pause it, zoom in, see everything that's optioned into this Trax. And now, let's take her out for a spin. All right, we are in this little Trax. I don't know what to say. We're in this little Trax. All right, let's get serious here. All right, good visibility out the front windshield, even though it's way in front of you. So it feels longer than the vehicle is, which I find interesting. Plenty of visibility out the side glass and out the rear view. No problem at all. The car, suspension-wise, the ride is firmer than I thought it would be. And otherwise, it is fairly well damped for a small little car. Nothing crazy. The engine, obviously, not big at all. And not very powerful. You're looking at a 0 to 60 in over 9 seconds. I think if I looked at the estimates right. But this is my view on this little Trax. If you're looking for a little car with all-wheel drive that has a higher ground clearance than a standard car, and you're bopping around town, especially if you're up north in a northern city and you're bopping around town, getting good gas mileage, got extra room in the back to carry your stuff. It's not a bad option at a price point of about 26 grand. So you really, for that purpose, it's not bad as far as what it offers. Now this is the top LT trim, so $26,000 is all the money on a Trax, all the money. But it does give you some power seats, does give you USB action, right? It gives you, a nice little infotainment system where you can hook up your phone wirelessly for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and get your directions through your phone, get your maps through your phone, no problem. It doesn't have a sunroof. Oh well, it is what it is. But it drives nicely. The steering is very light, but you turn the steering wheel and the car goes in the direction that you have it turned. So there's really not much more you need. If you're just an around town person needing some extra room for stuff, you live up north, so you need all-wheel drive, and you have a higher ground clearance than a standard car, because I wouldn't consider this an SUV. I wouldn't even consider it a CUV, even though it's probably officially a CUV. I wouldn't call it that. I'd call it a little lifted car. But it's not bad. Now the technology obviously in here is old, and this car is being discontinued for 2023. So, all this is going bye-bye, unless you want to buy one of these last 2022s that are being shipped out to dealer lots. What I am excited to see is the 2024. I saw a video on that from the Detroit show earlier in the year, where Chevy had the 2024 Trax prototype up there, and it looks like a little trailblazer. It looks really nice. Totally different than what we're driving now. And I think it's going to be a much better car. But if you want to score a cheap deal on a car, because you need one, and you don't want to spend a lot of money, and you're just bebopping around town, this isn't a half bad option to take a look at. At least that's my view on this, especially with the all-wheel drive, which is a nice touch. Because if it was front-wheel drive, I don't think the value proposition would be as compelling as it is with the all-wheel drive. So we're going to come down this straightaway, and nobody's behind me. We're going to do an emergency stop, and we'll see how this car stops from 50 miles an hour. 3, 2, 1. There we go. Nice and straight. Didn't lock up the wheels. I had that anti-lock brake thing kick off, and now we're back up and we're running down the road. So not half bad. Car didn't pull in either direction or anything, so not half bad. So now we're going to come down the other end of this road. We'll turn around and we'll see how slow this car's acceleration is, because it is quite slow. Now you got the turbo power, so you're going to get some more torque coming in low to help try to move this car down the road. But I don't think it's going to be very successful in getting the car down the road in any meaningful way. But we're going to give it a try and see how it goes. Alright, so nobody behind me. 3, 2, 1, go. speed. Not as slow as I thought it was going to feel. Not fast, but not as slow as I thought it was going to feel. We're going to stop, let this guy get a little bit further ahead, see what it does on this turn up here. Rock and roll. Heavy right, hit the brakes. Oh! Well, that was interesting. Those tires were sliding, the back was sliding out a little bit. Not designed for that at all. But I don't care, it's fun. So Chevy Trax action for 2022. Car's going away. This is an old stale style, no doubt about it. That back seat thing where you got to pull the lower part of the seat up first and then move the back part of the seat down. That was technology we were using in cars for the back seats, to put back seats down in the early 2000s. And it's here in a 2022 Trax, which is ridiculous. So I'm sure that's going to be completely redone when the 2024 Trax comes out. But that's silly, you know, to go through all that trial and tribulation just to get a back seat to fold flat. And then to get it fully flat, I double checked with the salesman, you got to take the headrests off. And that's just dumb. So that's a big problem for this if you want the back seats down. If you're just using it and you're gonna leave the back seats up and you just need some extra trunk space for some extra goodies, I think you're fine. But that's gonna drive you nuts if you buy one of these and you need to put those rear seats down. Today's day and age, that should be right out of the car. But it's done. You know, the Trax is, you know, rental car-esque. I said earlier, that's what we're really what we're looking at, with some nicer touches with the stitching. But it's going to go bye-bye. I wanted to get into 2022 just to see what it was all about before it's gone for 23, and then back in 24 as a totally different car. And I wanted to see what this outgoing model was like. And my verdict is, if you need a little teeny-weeny runabout around town and you need some extra room and you live up north and you need all-wheel drive and you want a higher ground clearance because you may be going on some crappy paved roads up in the northern states or up in Canada, and you want decent gas mileage, then this is something you may want to look at. But that's a fairly narrow market in my view. For the masses, this car isn't probably not going to work because it's just not good enough, and we're going to need to wait till 2024. So as far as the way this one is configured, I'm glad Chevy's calling it quits, and I'm glad they're going to do something different and come out with a totally different car in a couple of model years. So for now, I want to thank Ciocca Chevrolet of Princeton for allowing the channel access to this 22 Trax for review today. I want to thank all of you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like. Please also consider subscribing and turning on that notification bell so you'll never miss another Shabby's Rides video. And I'll see all of you on the rebound. Take care, everyone.